Keep yourself in the loop of everything football. Listen to Alex and Jeremiah on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Hello there, I'm Jeremiah.
I am Alex, always and forever here.
Dedicated to college and NFL football. The latest football news on and off the field. NFL draft trade rumors. We've got you covered from the NFL, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC, and everything else in between. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
All right, thank you for tuning into the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, where we talk the latest news, rumors, and games of the NFL and college football. From the latest science research, breakout stars, and all the news in between, as always, I'm Jeremiah Martinez. I'm your host today. I'm doing it solo. Alex is not here, for those of you wondering, yo, where's Alex at? Yeah, unfortunately, he's still not here. He's somewhere in the river, probably playing Pokemon. I don't know. Looking for, I guess he just wants to play Pokemon. I guess he just doesn't want to do the show anymore. I just don't understand why he wanted to leave me. But he should be back soon. He should be back on Monday. And I will ask him about what he did during his timeout. But we're going to get started today's show. We got lots of news. Lots of news that broke this week. An owner got his own statue. Yes, an NFL owner got his own statue at the stadium where his team plays at. And we also got an active NFL player joining the USA team at the Olympics. And to cap things off, I'm going to talk about the ACC Network, and shouldn't take that long. So let's get right into it, shall we? Okay, here to get you guys through the day, from commuting to work, or you're just playing, chilling, or getting home from work. Whatever, how you listen to this podcast, I do not care, as long as you guys subscribe and listen. Okay, let's get this thing started. All right, so I got a question for all you guys out here. What present do you give a man for his 80th birthday, especially a man who's a billionaire? Well, Jerry Richardson, the owner of the Carolina Panthers, was honored with a 13-foot statue that was unveiled on his 80th birthday over the weekend at Bank of America Stadium. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, the statue shows Richardson holding a football with two Panthers at his feet, which are a nod to offense and defense in the two Carolinas, which are, north and south. There's also a plaque that reads, "The indomitable spirits who guard our stadium were led here by a man who took us beyond where others even imagined. And his place for this place, his relentless drive inspired a display of unity and the Carolinas worthy of the world stage." And according to the plaque, the statue is a gift from Richardson's partners, Steve and Jerry Wordsworth. ESPN's Darren Revel brought up a great question on Twitter. He tweeted, "Get ready for a new trend, statues of owners. Panthers now have a Jerry Richardson. Is Jerry Jones far behind?" And, when he tweeted this, I really thought to myself, like, how come? I'm surprised Jerry Jones didn't think of this first. Jerry Jones is that infamous owner that, he built Jerry's World, which is, he thinks it's the best stadium in the world. He built, literally, he kind of has like an empire in Dallas right now, with the Cowboys. He kind of wants that to be an empire there in Texas. But yeah, I'm surprised Jerry Jones didn't think of having a statue first. But I won't be surprised if this starts becoming a trend. And, I can see Eddie DeBartolo getting a statue, the San Francisco 49ers owner who is being elected to the Hall of Fame. I can see him getting a statue at Levi Stadium. I don't know when it will happen, but I can see it in the future. I'm surprised Oakland never actually thought about getting a Al Davis statue, and I know why they haven't done it, but I'm surprised they haven't thought about it. I won't be surprised if if the Raiders move to Las Vegas, I won't be surprised if they unveil a Al Davis statue because he was the Raiders, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. And you got to think of guys like Lamar Hunt, also the former owner of the Kansas City Chiefs. He's mainly like Davis. He was mainly, a big influence in the AFL NFL merger. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Lamar Hunt gets his own statue. And you got to think about in sports too, like in other sports. I wouldn't be surprised if the Los Angeles Lakers decided to, get a Jerry Buss statue. And, for that matter. But, yeah, so I can see it becoming a trend with the, owners getting their own statues at stadiums. And, this is really, I actually like the Jerry Richardson statue, actually. If you guys haven't seen it, there's you can probably search for it online. You can probably search for it on Twitter. This isn't television, so I don't have a video to show you guys. But, it's a really cool statue. I think you guys should check it out whenever you guys get a chance. You just got to put the Pokemon Go away, guys, and put the Pokemon Go away. Take some time off of that and just probably take a look at the statue. Okay. So, yeah, and I will get into my first break. I know it's a pretty early break already, I know. But, those are my thoughts about Jerry Richardson's statue. So, I will take my first break, and you guys can you can play Pokemon Go for about a minute or two. But do not get indulged in the game before you come back. Please come back. I will literally cry if you guys do not come back. Please come back. All right. Take the first break. Be there. Be square.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
All right, welcome back to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. As you guys know, I am Jeremiah. I am doing the show solo while Alex is taking a really long break. I think a real long break. I don't know why he decided to leave the show for about 2 days. I don't know why he decided to take 5 days off. I do not know why. I don't. Whatever. Whatever. I'll just move on. I'll get mad if I start talking about it. So I'm gonna just stop. All right. Well, okay. The next bit of news. Rugby is, returning to the Olympics this year after a 92-year absence. But what this has to do with football is that the USA team will have a representative from the NFL, an active NFL player, that is. Well, Patriots safety Nate Ebner made the official 12-man USA Rugby roster on Monday. Ebner he's going to join Herschel Walker as the only man to participate in the Olympics after already playing in the NFL. Of course, Javid Best, he's a former player who Alex and I talked about on a previous episode. He's on the St. Lucian track team. And of course, he's not an active player, but he is the first player with former NFL experience. Of course, and there's several players who competed in the Olympics, but later joined the NFL team, just as, Marquise Goodwin and, Jeff Demps, those guys, they've competed in the Olympics before, joining the respective NFL squads as of now. But, yeah, going back to Nate Ebner, the safety and special team specialist for the New England Patriots, he actually took a leave of absence from the Patriots to fulfill, his Olympic dream. And it's now a reality. Yes, this Olympic version of rugby is known as, sevens, which is, 7 players to a side on a field the size of a soccer pitch. So matches will consist of 2 7-minute halves separated by a 2-minute intermission. And Ebner told, USA Today that 7 is full-blown action, the hardest 15 minutes of anything I've ever done. So, yeah, and rugby is a very, very tough sport. For those of you who have seen it, I'm actually glad they kind of brought back the sport back. I think it's going to put a little more interest in America a little bit. Because, it's actually really big here in the Sacramento region. There's high schools that have rugby clubs. They just got a pro rugby team here in Sacramento. So, yeah, there is some interest in America. It's just the entire country, I think the interest would be more, people are going to be more aware of it, and which means, people are going to be more interested in it. And the U.S. team is actually the defending champions because, as I said earlier, they had a 92-year absence. So the USA team won gold in 1920, in 1924, and 15-man rugby that it was back then. Team USA is actually a contender in the games, but Fiji is considered a favorite. The team that Jared Hayne was, he retired to, try to join the Fiji team, but unfortunately he didn't make it, which was, unfortunate. But, rugby in the summer games, it's going to be a 6-day tournament. It will be in Rio beginning August 6th, and it will end on the 11th. Of course, the Patriots will have training camp during that time. And not only that, they'll probably start preseason as soon as the Olympic Games are over, because, the Patriots start training camp on July 27th. And, the Patriots will be waiting for him, and, they do fully support Ebner. And, they did say congrats to him on Twitter. And, something to point out, Ebner almost didn't make the team. He almost didn't make the team. According to USA rugby coach Mike Friday, he almost didn't make the team. He was one of those roster bubble players, yes. And I'm actually excited to see rugby this summer. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really know too much of the sport, but I'm hoping to learn more about it as, the summer games, come on, in August. So, yeah, this is a sport I'm really looking forward to, and track as well. So that's a little bit of Rio Olympic news for you guys. And I'm going to take my very last break. Yeah, we got a very short episode for you guys today to end off the week for you guys this weekend. I would talk about the ACC. Yes, the ACC Network is going to arrive very soon. And I will get more into that topic when I get back.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
All right, welcome back to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. And for our last bit of news today, the ACC will get its own network. Okay, and so ACC fans will finally have a network for their favorite teams, but we'll have to wait until August 2019 as the ACC Network will officially launch. So the Atlantic Coast Conference and ESPN agreed to a 20-year deal and rights through the 2035-36 seasons, according to sources, in the conference. So not only did ACC get its own network, ACC so extended its conference grant of rights deal 9 years through 25-36 also as well. So the conference grant of rights makes it unattainable financially for a school to leave, guaranteeing in the 20 years of the deal that the school's media rights, including revenue for all home games, will remain with the ACC regardless of the school affiliation. So, it's not only, the network's not only for football, it's for other sports as well, as basketball, soccer, baseball. But some I do want to point out that this actually has to do with the Notre Dame football team as well. ACC's new grant of rights automatically extends Notre Dame's contract with the conference as a member in all sports but football. As some of you guys will know, it's an independent through 2035-36. Well, if Notre Dame decides to forego independence within the next 20 years, they are contracted to join the ACC. Yes. So they have to join the ACC if they decided to not want to be independent anymore. But for you guys ACC fans that, they can't wait for the network to launch in 2019, the ACC's network digital channel will start this fall. Yes, this fall. Just in time for the football season. Well, ACC conference, Commissioner John Safford will provide an update Thursday on ACC Network at the ACC's, football kickoff in Charlotte, North Carolina. According to a spokesman and the conference. So, if we had that update for you guys, me and Alex will probably talk about it on Monday, we might just tweet it out. We'll have an update for you guys. And, the addition of the network is a huge, huge boost for the ACC as they're up with, I think, with the top 5 Power 5 conferences now, with, the Big Ten and especially the ACC. Having their own network now. So, and for our last segment of the day, I have a special guest here, Tate. He is the host of the GSMC MMA podcast, as well as the Fantasy Football podcast. How are you doing today, Tate?
What up, people?
All right. Of course, I was talking about, the ACC getting their own network. They're probably going to be up the upper echelon now, the Power 5 conference. This actually influences the Big 12's possible expansion as well. Do you agree with that, or
Absolutely.
no?
I already saw that the Big 12 has already decided that they're going to add in 2 to 4 more teams.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I think it should go to at least 14. That's my that's me. That's my opinion.
They lost 4 teams.
Yeah,
so
they did.
It makes more sense that they should add 4 more teams. You know what I mean?
My only problem with the Big 12 is they're still called the Big 12, and they have 10 teams. And the Big Ten has 12. And it's always confusing for me and Alex to talk about.
Wait a minute. The Big Ten, I think, has 14 teams.
That's what I'm saying. It's confusing. 14 teams, and the conference says Big Ten, and then Big 12 has 10. It's just confusing. Every time me and Alex talk about it, it's just confusing for us. But anyways, who are some possible candidates you think could join the Big 12?
Well, I read a couple of things about this because I'm a big college football fan, and I go all over the country watching some of the games. And some of the teams they're looking at is like BYU, Colorado State, that is.
Yeah.
And schools like that. They are also looking at Cincinnati, and I thought Cincinnati just doesn't fit.
No,
for the Big 12.
They don't. I don't think they're a really good fit for that conference because, as you know, they were in the Big East when they used to have football.
Exactly. Yes. Now, I personally think, if you're going to go the direction of the Colorado and the BYUs, why wouldn't they consider a school like Boise? What's your thought on Boise State? Because Boise State's been a powerful school.
Yeah, I would love if a couple Mountain West teams actually would join, the Big 12. Boise probably be my favorite to join that conference because they've been such a powerhouse, like you said, and they played in some big bowl games too.
I agree with you big time. I don't know why they're not really because right now Boise State's not on that list.
Yeah,
and I don't understand why that would even be the case.
It's so weird. I think for Boise State, they kind of fallen off since in a while.
Mm-hmm.
They have been to the Mountain West Championships the past couple of years, but I think for them to get back, becoming a top 5 program like they were when they had Kellen Moore and Chris Peterson, who is now with Washington, they need help with recruiting to get back to that upper echelon of competition. I think this can help them.
Yeah, I think it's a win-win situation for everyone. I think you look at adding like a BYU and a Boise State would actually increase, the competition level in the Big 12, which would help a lot of their teams, their conference champion, actually get a lot more votes as far as being able to make it to the playoffs, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and a team that I know some people talked about possibly joining the Big 12 expansion is University of Houston Cougars. They're potential playoff sleeper. Me and Alex talked about them we have them in our playoff sleeper list. I think they're a team that can possibly join as well.
I wholeheartedly agree with you on that one. One of the things that I think the SEC does so well is they keep their conference pretty compact.
Yeah.
So the travel is very, very easy for the fans. It makes the rivalries really, really tight because everyone's local. And I think one of the things that the Big 12 could do, and I think it's a really smart move, is to bring back some of those old, the Big 8 schools, such as SMU, Rice. These are all Texas schools. So why not, if you're thinking about 4 and you're going to do something like that, why not SMU, Rice, Houston, and there's give me another Texas school or like a.
There's UT of San Antonio, but I think they're
there's another one. I can't think of who it is, but when you think about a conference rivalry, and you have all those schools right around Dallas and all through Texas and Oklahoma, and you mix all that in, I think you actually generate a much more bigger rivalry locally by adding those Texas schools. But adding like a Cincinnati, who's Cincinnati going to be a rival with?
I know. I remember their rival with Pittsburgh in the Big East.
Listen, I'm from Ohio, and I don't understand why. You're like, okay, Cincinnati's going to be a rival with West Virginia, who doesn't belong in there either?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I know some other teams they thought about bringing in was Memphis, who's also
I saw that too.
Memphis, who's in the same conference, the American Conference with Houston. BYU, as you previously mentioned, they're really want to join a Power 5 conference, but the thing is that's holding them back for that is their obligation to not play on Sundays, as of course they are a Mormon university.
Right.
Yeah. Well, because it's not just football; it's for like other sports as well.
You know, and I didn't think about that. But if I was truly gonna think about 4 teams, give me your thoughts on this? BYU, Boise. You have a built-in rivalry between BYU and Boise right there. Okay, you throw in SMU in Houston into that conference. Those are 4 teams that really, really fit. A heck of a lot better than Cincinnati and Memphis. And even Colorado State, for that matter. What's your take?
I don't think under Colorado State belongs in that conference. Or Colorado, for that matter. They've been bad in the Pac-12 alone.
Well, yeah, but, Colorado has at least a history of there back when Cordell Stewart was there,
Yeah, that is true.
And I guess they're trying to bring it maybe the Colorado State rivalry. But if you're going to think about a better rivalry, wouldn't you rather have a BYU Boise State than a Colorado State?
I love the BYU and Boise State rivalry as well.
I think that would be a good one.
The thing is, though, that kind of takes away from Boise State rivalries in the Mountain West because their biggest rivalry, one of them is Fresno State. Me growing up in the Fresno area, I grew up as a Fresno State fan, and I've always grew up hating Boise State because they always beat them. That's one of the things that would take away from that conference. But
all right, I'm
not done yet,
okay,
Tate.
I'm gonna let you. Okay, I'm gonna.
But that rivalry is not as much. It's not as big as the other rivalries, and I think it would be a lot better to see a Boise State BYU compared to Boise State and Fresno State, and I think more fans will actually more enjoy it. I know the student body at Boise State would enjoy that rivalry. I know for a fact, the fact that the way that the student body shows up in Boise State games, I know for a fact it will always be in the games, and that's why the Boise State is probably a perfect fit. That's not being talked about right now in Big 12.
It's amazing that they're not talking about it. But my question was going to be for you when you're bringing up, the rivalry when you're thinking about Fresno is, why are they thinking about adding 4 more teams?
Why are they thinking about adding 4 more teams?
Yes.
Well, the Big 12 wants to add 4 more teams. First of all, they have a conference game coming up, and they want their own network soon.
Ding, ding, ding. It's all about the CSC. And if you don't know what CSC stands for, Cash Week Cash.
Cash? Oh, right. I like that. Yes. All right.
And when you're thinking about it, the Fresno-Boise State rivalry does not bring in cash.
It doesn't.
It's a regional deal.
That's what I was trying to say. It just never came out. But it doesn't bring in money. It just doesn't. Boise State would definitely bring in cash. The Big 12. Right. They bring in cash now alone.
Yes, by themselves. You bring in a BYU, a Boise, an SMU, and Houston. Those are schools that can actually generate interest. People would actually tune in to see, those 4 schools, which is really big because the big part about that CSC is they want a Big 12 network. Yes. So you want teams that are going to put butts in the seat and eyes on the screen. And those 4 schools do, where, Cincinnati, Memphis, Colorado State, wake me up when it's over.
All right, so those are your 4 teams. So you got BYU, Boise State, SMU, and Houston. So that's your people to join. I'm going to agree with you on Houston. Definitely SMU. Boise State, I never actually thought about Boise State until you said it, but you persuade me so well that I want to put them in there. And BYU, I kind of agree with you a little bit on the top 4 teams because the rivalries are built in there within those 4 teams alone.
Yeah, you bring in a built-in rivalry with these, and they fit in well as far as you really consume that Houston market by bringing in Houston. You bring in SMU. SMU is right there in Dallas. So you're hitting major cities with both of those.
And it's Texas.
Exactly. You want to get your recruiting out of Texas. So I think it's a perfect fit.
And not only that, Idaho's also big on football as well. Football is pretty big in Idaho.
Absolutely.
And then Utah, it's kind of big there as well also, especially in the Big Sky. They have this certain Utah Thunderbirds. I covered the Big Sky last year. So, football is pretty good. There's a lot of interest in football there.
A major thing. And those parts of the country, and I've spent a lot of time in those areas as well. My wife is actually from those areas, from that area. And I know pretty much football is life there. That's their number one entertainment. It's a little different than being in California here.
Oh, yeah. We're kind of spoiled here.
Oh, majorly.
We're pretty
majorly spoiled.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, that concludes our show. Yeah, thanks. That was a good talk, Tate. Good talk. All right.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. All right. That concludes our today's episode of the GSMC Football Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at GSMC_football, as well on Instagram at the same handle. You can like us on Facebook at Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. And you can also listen to this show and, of course, Tate's MMA podcast and Fantasy Football Podcast. Matter of fact, I asked you about the Fantasy Football Podcast before going further. What's up with that, man? It's been literally, I feel like it's been a year since you haven't done it.
You know what? And you are so right. We've been actually on hiatus for about a month.
Okay.
But with training camp and everything kicking in, actually, Fantasy Football show will start back this week, actually.
Okay.
So the show will be coming at you hot and heavy.
All right. Well, if you need a guest, man, just let me know. You were a guest on my show.
There's always a place for you, brother.
Okay, thanks. And then as well, you can also check the portfolios of I don't know why I can't say that.
First day with the new mouth. I understand.
You can also check out our other shows on the network, as well as our other shows coming up as well. Do you know when the other shows are coming up? Are they coming up?
The ones that are slated, those are slated for 2017. So those are going to be
out
of the way.
Okay.
Yes,
yeah, don't worry. So, yeah. I don't know if I'm going to be a host of one of those. It's not my decision, but maybe. All right. So, and then you can also subscribe and listen on to me and Alex. He will be back on Monday. I promise you guys he will be back. On Monday through Thursday, we'll have new episodes every week. You can catch us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, and YouTube. Did I forget anything else, Tate?
Nah, dude, you sound perfect.
All right. Thank you. All right. Well, that concludes our show, guys. And catch you guys on Flippity Flip. And we'll see you next week.